Welcome to Waiver Watch episode 9 on January 12th, 2020. We are 107 Waivers, and each week we bring to you some of the most interesting waivers granted on the week's previous approvals by the FAA. And, as always, we like to start off our Waiver Watch with an acronym from the FAA and the UAS industry. What letters are we using today? AGL, and that stands for above ground level. So when you're referencing your altitude and flying, you reference them in two separate ways, which is another acronym, MSL. Jakey, can you give us a little spiel on why you use AGL and MSL when referencing your altitude?
Oh yeah, so AGL, above ground level, that I guess actually really don't need to explain it. It's exactly what it sounds like, right? But yeah, that's feet, meters above the ground. MSL is above the sea level, which is kind of an average datum for the aviation industry. So you could be at 1,000 feet MSL, but only 400 feet above the actual ground. So up here in North Dakota, we're at like 850. That's where the ground is. Then you measure above that. But it matters because Part 107 limits you to 400 feet AGL. So we'll talk about a waiver today that gets you a little higher than that, and not in the sense of just flying higher either. So kind of a different spin on it.
Awesome. So with that, let's jump into the weekly waiver totals, right? Was it a good week, Jakey?
It was, actually. The FA's getting back to work essentially. So
refreshed.
Pretty average week. Had like 35 total waivers. There was 32 for daylight operations, 2 for operations over human beings, and 1 for high altitude. So both the parachute waivers, the 107.39s, were pair 0. They're still knocking it out.
Yep.
And how about that Phantom 4 coming back? So,
ooh, big news.
They are the only ones with a Phantom parachute right now.
Awesome.
So that could be good for pair 0.
So,
let's CES. Let's hold on for CES. Autel Evo 2, pretty cool. 6K, 8K, a little FLIR sensor in there. Pretty neat, but my question is, who's going to be the first one to make a parachute system for that? Because, think about it right now. The parachutes are actually going to drive potentially what aircraft people buy, depending on the needs, right? So if I was Autel, I'd be knocking on Pair Zero's door saying, please make me a parachute. Yeah?
You know what's interesting about the Pair Zero parachute is, doesn't it kind of look the same when it goes from the Mavic to the Phantom? It's pretty much the same size. How big is that Autel 2?
Pretty similar to a Mavic, yeah.
I bet, maybe add a little bit more canvas to that parachute or a little bit less depending on, the weight. I don't know the total weight of that thing. But you probably got yourself a winner, right?
Yeah.
So
kind of an interesting thing on how consumers are going to choose drones here coming in the future.
So speaking of which, again, we've been digging into the waiver table, right? And we noticed these little quirks that happen with that table. It's not always 100% true about all the authorizations that are out there, the waivers that are granted. And case in point, we only recorded 2 107.39 waivers being approved by the FAA. However, yours truly at 107 Waivers right here, we have our Phantom 107.39 waiver with the Pair 0 Phantom 4 Safe Air. So we are excited to finally announce that we are releasing training courses for both Indemnis and Pair 0 Mavic and Phantom Safe Air systems. So if you want to start driving those 107.39 numbers up, hit us up. We will certainly walk you through the process. It'll be as easy as getting a night waiver with 107waivers.com. Guaranteed. So no more worrying. I'm going to spend $5,000 on the Indemnis system. I'm going to spend $2,000 on the Pair 0 system. Am I going to get my waiver? With 107 waivers, the answer is yes, you're going to get that waiver. So enough of a
Yeah.
plug for us, right?
Nah,
We're-
super cool.
I mean, this is awesome. So anyways, yeah, Autel too. Like when you need your parachute, like, and you want to sell this to your customers, let us know. We'll help you out. We are excited to work with all parachute manufacturers to make sure that we are pushing the industry forward with operations over people, safe operations over people, not just let's just fly over people just for kicks, but let's do it safely and let's increase the bottom line of your drone service providing company, so you can elevate that. So let's be safer, let's make more money, and let's drive this industry together. 107waivers.com. Boom. Huge plugs today, but that is where you want to be. So we're really here to help you guys out. And Waiver Watch, we're maybe derailing it here for a moment. So I'm going to get back on the rails and say, Jakey, let's talk about that 107.51 that ties into our week's sponsors with AGL. So fire it away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the 107 Bravo, that's the waiver this week. That's for operational limitations altitude. So normally you could fly above 400 feet if you're within 400 feet of a structure, but if that's not the case, you got to get this waiver. So this went to Freeport McMoran. Kind of an interesting name, but it's actually a copper mine in Arizona. So it's just kind of an open pit mine.
Making pennies, baby.
Yeah, if you go to their website, actually has like this really sweet picture of it. Just
Probably
right
got
on
it from
the
a
front
drone,
page
didn't
there.
they?
Well, guaranteed. 'Cause obviously, they're using drones. They've got a guy here that's getting waivers.
Yeah.
But maybe so. We're kind of looking. Okay, why would you do this? Why would you get this waiver? So there's probably like two reasons. Number one, for like photogrammetry, you don't always need like millimeter resolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're flying higher, you can actually do ops more efficiently. You can image a larger area with each picture and just cover more ground faster.
Mm-hmm.
And to do like a volumetric, you don't need like just super sub-millimeter accuracy on that. So you can do this quick and easy. But on the other hand, for stuff like mines, you actually, where you're taking off may actually be higher than most of the area you're imaging. So when the ground dips down, either your aircraft has to follow it to stay within 400 feet AGL, or you could get a waiver like this to stay at a constant altitude and fly over lower land. So we actually have an image of that in our blog post here. You can check out the website, kind of see what we're talking about, but it's a different way to think about it, right?
And you know what I'm thinking? As I'm thinking, like, this is an excellent case. So if there's somebody out there that's, doing operations for a mine, and this is a waiver that you want to get, but you're worried about, hey, how am I going to do this? Hit us up. We will certainly help you guys out to get this waiver. This is a perfect case on you bring this to the FAA and you start proposing your operation, and realistically, your risk above the ground, right? Because if you think about manned traffic, manned aviation flying over that, they're not going to go down into that dip. So if it's 800 feet into the ground, you have a lot of room for your safety case to say, hey, typical manned aviation is not going to follow the terrain here because this is a depression in the earth, and a mile away is another, is the level side of the other, this big pit. So, we certainly know how to drive those words and get those things on the paper so that you can get these approvals, because it's a super big challenge. Like, okay, instead of flying at the bottom of the pit, I want to fly from the top of the pit, at level ground. And
why drive down in there, right? Just
exactly.
Launch it from
you have a drone, you can cover the whole pit. Let's make it easy. You don't have to go to the bottom.
Yeah.
And so you can get out of the production trucks you're going to be driving and everything. So maybe at the top is actually safer. And these are some of the things that you can say is, hey, along with our air risks, our ground risks there's actually a lot more machinery down there that's moving around, and we're cording off the area that we're flying and everything. But why do we need to be down there with a production truck that has a tire the size of the car that I'm driving? Doesn't make sense. So again, there are real people at the FAA that are making decisions based on what you're putting. We help you out with that. But this is an amazing picture. We have a picture on our website that kind of shows how a pit mine might look, and how you start it with the EB here on this picture. You start at 400 feet, you fly out to the center. Now you're at 800 feet. But
yeah.
So.
Well, you mentioned an interesting thing there too, the vehicles. So there's activity going on in the pit, right? We have covered 107.39 Bravo waivers in the past,
Yes.
operating over moving vehicles. And it's maybe interesting, this is just a waiver to 107.51 here. So Freeport must have some mitigation for operating over operating over vehicles, i.e. not operating over moving vehicles. But I wonder about the combination of those two waivers. If you had a mind like this, why wouldn't you get 51 and 39 Bravo, right?
Well, let's talk about that. So, like in the picture here that you have the EB, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, hasn't somebody done a lot of studies on the EB and about can it fly over people safely without a parachute just because it's so light and it's styrofoam? Yeah. And it has some sort of glide capabilities,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this EV's been studied pretty extensively with ground risk collisions by the FAA Assure team, some of the test sites. State Farm uses it for their emergency response type of operations. So it's maybe a bad example of stuff that can fly over, but you're right. Lots of ways to mitigate 107.39.
I'm like thinking like challenge accepted. Okay, who's got an EB and who's doing mine operations? Because we want to get you a 107.51 and operations over moving vehicles and people. So we want to do the combined. We want to get the 51 for the altitude, and we want to get ops over people and moving vehicles with the EB at a mine. That would be awesome.
That'd give you a lot of flexibility. You could pretty much just let it rip.
Wait, what would that give you? That would give you uninhibited operations at any time over your pit. Like, no longer do you say, hey, site safety rep, hey, can you clear everyone out? Make them go to lunch. Don't come back for an hour. Like, because that's like when I've shot at mines, that's what I do. I shoot at lunchtime, and I tell. There's usually one or two loaders moving things around. But there's only two things I have to deconflict. But otherwise, I tell all the construction workers, hey, like, don't come out of the Conex box that you guys are eating lunch in until I'm done, because I can't have you on site. And that's fine. But when you're running a multi-million-dollar daily operation, hours matter. So this is like, how do you pitch this back to your client? hey, I'm going to charge you a little bit more now because my capabilities have just allowed you not to shut down your site while I'm flying. Or, heaven forbid, you're skirting along the rules, right? And you're, maybe not operating the best way. Now you can elevate your operations safely and legally. So, challenge accepted. Yeah. Let's get an EB and let's get a pit mine. Let's find that operator out there that wants that 107.51 and 107.39 combo. Let's knock it out. Let's do it.
That's an interesting
Hit us a message, right?
Yeah.
So, I think I think that's the way to end it right there.
That's our two waivers for the week. That's right. Our own 107.39 and a high altitude. So
So excellent week for us. Excellent week for everyone. Great start to the year 2020. Like again, we last mentioned in our last waiver watch, we do have the very first waiver of 2020, and we're thinking about something special to do with that. So, if you got any comments, let us know what that should be. Maybe it should be a 151, 107.51, and a 107.39, right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for listening, watching, or reading. I guess, and we'll catch you next time.
That's right. Fly safe.